Hey, how are you? My name is Seamus from Owel, and I'm the guitarist. I wouldn't even say lead guitarist because we both do a lot of swapping leads, so that actually has a lot to do with the setup. So this is my Thurston Moore Fender guitar. It's a Jazzmaster. Actually, the finish was one of the things that really drew me to it because of how rare. I've never seen really a color that shade of green, which Seamus, me being an Irishman, actually kind of fits my style. Gauge 11s, the Ernie Ball Slinkies. I do that because I do a lot of tremolo picking, so I like really loose register to really get behind it and get that that strong tone. Simple stock pickups, standard. One knob just for the switch between pickups, and just a volume pedal. Just the balance between the high end and the low end. The guitar was perfectly built just to stay right in the middle, and if it's more of like a very strong lead where it's supposed to poke through almost harshly and annoyingly, I'll keep it on the high pickup. All right, so fairly simple again. I start with the delay DL4 line 6 pedal, which is like everyone and their grandmother has. Very standard. A lot of people great reviews about this delay pedal. You can do anything from save loops, which you do a lot of different things in between songs to keep transitions, smooth. Also, another thing I do with this, I hold the repeats all the way up on my tube setting, so it almost creates this like stormy effect, like it's kind of almost like you're in the Wizard of Oz or something like that. Comes right through the Hall of Fame reverb pedal, which actually syncs up to my phone. Basically, you go to the product that you have, and it actually goes through all these different reverbs. Each one has different descriptions. You can go through them. You can honestly get lost in this. So what I like to do is just pick 4 that I keep throughout the set, depending on the songs, and I just change them by holding up the phone actually to the pickups, and it transfers into the pedal and saves until you change it, which is actually, I still, for the life of me, have no idea how that works, but it does. Hall of Fame into my Tube Screamer, which another standard. Any guitarist that loves those strong leads to poke through at the right time, that is a perfect pedal. It's honestly one of the best buys I've ever had. Goes right into this Dispatch Masters Earthquake. They make really cool customized pedals, like if you want to do a reverb and delay, they actually hybrid them together. Good for tremolo picking parts, sustain, all that good stuff. This is my egg shaker. I do this to keep time with the drummer. This goes into the tuner. The tuner goes in, bypasses the volume pedal, so I can actually tune the guitar while keeping the volume off, so I never have to make obnoxious noises in the middle of sets. And then the volume pedal is pretty self-explanatory. DeVille 410. It's a hot rod series. You get the tubes are in the back. Fairly simple setup. I mean, great for high-end stuff. We do a lot of pretty stuff, like a lot of bellies, atmospheric sort of thing. So it's beautiful with the really high-end belly stuff, without sacrificing it being too thin. It still carries a lot of bottom end, and the tubes actually have a lot to do with that.
Hi, I'm Jay, and I play guitar and I sing for Owel. And this is my gear. This is my Gibson Les Paul Custom. It has a bit of rosin on it. It's pretty ugly, but sometimes I'll play it with a bow, and it leaves a bit of that on there. The stickers from when my guitar got stolen. Actually, my car got stolen, and this guitar was in the car. And my drummer Ryan drove me around to every single pawn shop in the area, and literally the last pawn shop that we were gonna go to, all my gear was in there, and it was about, I think, about $7,000 worth of gear, and they sold everything to the pawn shop for $160. So the guy was nice enough to give it back to me for pretty much what they bought it for, and I kind of leave this on here, I guess, as a reminder of how stupid I could be and leave my car unlocked. These are the strings that I play, DR, 11 gauge. I don't mind the heaviness of 11 gauge because I don't do a lot of leady, sort of bendy notes. Sometimes I do, but for the most part I'm just plucking out chords, and it kind of stops him from getting so out of tune so easily. So for the most part I just keep it right in the middle. I'm using both these pickups. This is the volume knob for this pickup, this is the volume knob for this pickup, and this is the tone knob for each of those pickups. And for the most part, I keep it in the middle. Sometimes if I want a little bit more bottom end, I'll keep it on the on this pickup, on the rhythm pickup, or if I'm doing like leady notes on the top, keep it on that. It just sounds a little bit more pronounced and gives it a little extra boost, I feel. So this is my massive pedal board. I kind of feel like you're like in my messy room right now. It's a little exposing, but this is just my tuner. It's the Poly tuner. Honestly, apparently you're supposed to be able to pluck all your strings and you're supposed to see which strings are out of tune. It doesn't work that well for me. I have to do it individually. And this is my Pog. It has the octave up and then the octave down setting. A lot of times I will use this for if I turn the sub octave down and then turn the octave up all the way. Ton of verb, and I'll just swell, ton of delay, and I'll swell, and it kind of sounds like an organ swell with all the sort of harmonics and layers that this gives, so I like that. This is my fuzz pedal. It's kind of like a one-trick pony. I don't use it a ton, but I'll use it for real leady, dirty stuff. I wanted a fuzz pedal that didn't sound nice, that sounded almost like a bit crusher on a guitar, that made your parts sound a bit farty and as if it was cutting in and out, and this I think does a great job of that. I use this side a lot more, the more fuzz side, and then I have my intensity about here because I don't want it to sound too scooped or too bright. Again, I want that farty sound, and then I have the gain all the way up because again I use it for like real leady stuff, single note stuff, so it really needs to cut through. And I use this a lot with this and have the sub octave down just to give it that bottom end and that lower octave. This is my delay pedal, the pedal that probably like everyone uses. This is like my normal setting. These are like my two normal settings, and then this is for when I want a ton of delay. I have a setting that like the mix is really high and the repeats are really high. And then this is where you tap. And this is my reverb pedal. Again, probably a pedal that most guitar players have, but I really like it. I usually just keep it on the hull and just mess with the level. Sometimes if I'm playing, I'll just sort of use my foot to move the knob up and down. And then if I want to get crazy, I'll put it on the modulated, and it has this sort of unrealistic tail and trail to the reverb, where the other ones are more like convolution reverbs, or sort of recreating a space, whether it's recreating a hall or a room or a plate, but the modulated doesn't really sound like an actual place. It's just, it sounds weird and cool. This is for my amp. I like having a drive pedal that's just a subtle drive, and then I like having a secondary drive pedal that is more drive, but I don't like having two different drive pedals for that, because then you have to hit one on and then you have to hit that one off before you hit the other. Where this one, I could just hit this one on, and then it'll be my subtle drive. And then instead of having to click this off and then click another drive pedal, I could just click this on, and it's the boost of this drive. So I like that, because a lot of times that's like the progression of, that's how it goes with my drive, where I'm going from 1, 2 to 3 as opposed to from like 1 to 3. So, and if I do need to just go full on right off the bat, I'll just use both my feet in this sort of tap dancing way, and yeah. Okay, so this is actually not guitar related at all. This is for my vocals. I love reverb on vocals, and at this level we don't have a sound guy, so we don't have anyone that knows when I want a ton of reverb and when I don't. So I just use this for my reverb. I just click it on when I want it, usually for like long falsetto notes, to give it that sort of ghostly trail. And then from here, I have the, this is just I have two outs. I have the left, which is the mono, and then this will go to the sound guy, or the house, and then this this dry will actually go to me, because this is sort of my little contained in-ear monitoring system. So from this dry, I will go into this preamp. From this preamp, it will go into this transmitter, this box that it sits upon, and it will transmit to a pack that will be on my butt. And so the only thing I'll really hear, and I just have it on one ear, but I'll just hear myself really well, which is, I think, is important for singing. Okay, this is the Wagner Shiva. I used to play a Fender what was it, a Fender Deluxe, and it was great. It was cheap, and I used it for a really long time. I just loved the clean tone, and I even loved the drive tone, but it just kind of, it didn't have, it couldn't really handle the bottom end that I wanted to push out. And so I got the Bogner because it's sort of, I really like the clean tone, and it was able to handle that bottom end and handle that drive that I wanted. And yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily a bottom end sort of guy. Like even the Les Paul, I actually used to prefer Fender over Les Pauls, but because of my role in the band, usually what I do, which is more like chord based and not as leady, I sort of figured that I'll let our other guitarists play the Fender that has a nice high quality, and I'll hold down the bottom with this.
Hey, my name's Nunzio. I'm the bass player from Owel, and here's some of my gear. This is a Fender Jazz Deluxe. I got it maybe 2 years ago. I used to be a P-bass guy forever, but with this project, I like the versatility of the jazz bass. I actually won a different bass in a contest from Guitar Center, and I didn't like it, so I sold it and used the money to buy this because this is like my dream bass, so that's how I got it. But I love it. I use this for every show, and probably 85% of recording with this bass, and use the P bass for some stuff. But so for strings, I use DR brand, which is a Jersey brand. I don't see much difference between the string brands. I do love the DR brands, and I'd like to represent Jersey a little, so definitely like those. So I use, these are 105 on the top end to 45 on the small string here. Everything else is stock on the bass. I didn't mess with the pickups or anything else. But I mean, this is an ideal sound for me, so I didn't need to modify it at all. This is actually exactly how I keep my settings. So I always keep my volume knob all the way up. I keep the tone here in the middle. This is my active passive switch, so I keep it. I play passive, so I keep it up. And that's about it. And sometimes I switch during the songs the tone a little if I need to, but not much. This is usually how I keep it set for on stage. So this is my board I use for live applications. This is the beginning of my chain. So I keep a volume pedal on both sides because I like to have a final volume pedal so I can cut everything off when I need to. And we do a lot of swells, so I use that for a lot of the swells, and then when I'm working with my chorus and delay here, I like to have the volume pedal at the beginning of the chain so I can, sweep into some swells and go down and still have the sound, delay, doing whatever it's doing, and be able to swell on this side. Then I go into this is my Boss tuner, and then I go into a Sans amp here, which I don't use often, but I have it here in case I run into an issue with an amp, or sometimes at a venue, very rarely I'd have to use it, but I can get the tone that I need in a pinch if I have to. And then this is my heavy distortion pedal. It's a Soundblocks pedal. It actually has a lot of different settings here, but I use it for really heavy distorted stuff, coupled with my Mark bass boosts. So I usually just hit them both at the same time to get a nice boosted distortion or fuzz or whatever I need. This is my typical fuzz sound that I use, the Big Muff. I use it in a lot of songs most of the time for lesser distortion fuzz stuff, and I use my Soundblocks here for the big sounding stuff. And then I got my my Boss delay and chorus here for the ambient noises and the swells and stuff like that we use. We sometimes tie in two songs together with some ambient noise and stuff like that. So that's what I use those for. So this is my Hartke Kilo head. It's basically, it's about the settings I use for a live application. I do use the graphic EQ live as well, so that would be turned on. I scoop some of the mids out. Into my Ampeg 4x, I don't even know, probably 15 or 12, who knows. but these are my live settings from my head. That's about it.
Hi, I'm Jane. I play violin and keyboard in Owel. This is my main instrument for the band. This is a 5-string realist violin, an electric acoustic. So you directly plug into the instrument, and yeah, that's pretty much my baby. 5-string because in the beginning when I joined Owel, I played the viola, which has this low C string, but I'm more comfortable with the violin as an instrument, so I found this option that I can have, a violin size with, the extra C string that a viola would have. So it's kind of the best of both worlds for me. It's worked out for me so far. These are all just normal violin strings, and with the exception of this string, which is a viola string. And yeah, they just, you do have to buy them separately, and they'll break like any guitar string would, so you have to change them regularly. So these are my bows. This I actually keep handy for Jay, who you guys met earlier. He plays the guitar, and sometimes he'll use this cello bow that I keep in my violin case for him. Sometimes he'll add little flourishes using this bow on his guitar strings. So I keep that handy here on this stand, which is very useful on stage because sometimes I switch off from violin to keyboard, and so I just need to put it down really quick and run over. So I just, boom, boom, and then I run over to the keyboard. This is the keyboard, nice transition. Here's the Juno DI Roland that I share with Seamus. We both switch off. It gets a little busy on stage, but we usually find a way to cross over and get on the keys in time. Yeah, it works for us. We don't get too crazy with it. Neither of us are super gearheads when it comes to keyboards, but yeah, we really love this instrument. It does exactly what we need it to do.
Hello, I'm Ryan Vargas. I play drums in Owel. I'm just going to talk about my kit real fast. The kit itself is a PDP Pacific. It's a 4-piece. Dimensions are a 12 by 9.5 on the high tom, a 22 by 18 floor kick drum, and the floor is a 14 by 14. The snare drum is different. It's a DW 10 ply. It's 14 by 6.5. Pretty much I've always been playing Remo, so I do Emperors on top for all top, control sound for the snare, and power stroke for the kick. And I do ambassadors on all the bottoms. This is a very warm tone, but I still get a lot of depth in it. And it's characteristically, I love it. You know what I mean? It's better than clear heads, so I have a little more of a voice in there. The cymbals that I do play with from left to right, I cracked my Zildjian K hi-hat before tour, so I had to have a fill-in Sabian, but I usually use all Zildjians. From the left, I have a Zildjian 18-inch medium crash. It's almost like my accent crash. I have a Zildjian K hybrid ride. This one is a 21-inch, and then I actually use a 21-inch sweet ride Zildjian A for a crash also. Always use Vic Firth. 5A American Classic for my sticks. I use a Legacy for brushes. My kick pedal is a DW 5000, along with my hi-hat pedals of 5000. All my hardware, I have a Tama over here. It's really durable, and everything else is DW hardware. And I use a nice pork pie for my throne because I'm a tall man and I kind of need something a little bit more durable on the road. Thanks for checking us out today and checking out all of our gear. Please check us out on owelband.com, also on Facebook, Instagram, and we have a couple more shows left on this tour with Mae. We're going to be hitting up Pennsylvania, Washington, and Virginia, so hopefully we can see you in the next future.